She didn't know I was standing behind her when the notification lit up her screen. It wasn't the message itself that froze me. It was the way her face changed before she realized I was there. My name is Ethan Caldwell. I live in Westport, Connecticut, a place where reputations are curated as carefully as investment portfolios, where success isn't just measured by money, but by perception. My wife, Lauren Caldwell, understood that better than anyone I had ever met. She had built her career in corporate consulting from the ground up. Sharp, composed, endlessly professional. The kind of woman who could walk into a room full of executives and leave with 3 new opportunities before the coffee went cold. Or at least, that's what I believed. Her LinkedIn profile was a reflection of that image. Active, polished, always networking, always connecting, always building relationships. At first, I admired it. I respected her ambition. I even encouraged it. Late dinners, out-of-town conferences, endless messaging with industry contacts. It all seemed like the cost of success. But something started to feel off. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just small things that didn't sit right. She became more protective of her phone, more precise with her schedule, less present, even when she was physically in the room. Conversations turned shorter. Eye contact turned lighter. There was always something pulling her attention somewhere else. At first, I blamed myself. Work had been demanding on my end, too. I run a private wealth advisory firm. Long hours were part of the job. I told myself we were just going through one of those phases couples go through. Busy, distracted, temporarily out of sync. But then came the night everything shifted. It was a Thursday. She said she had a late networking dinner in Manhattan. Nothing unusual. She had those often. But something about the way she said it felt rehearsed. Too clean. Too practiced. Don't wait up, she added. I nodded. Drive safe, I said. And I meant it. Even then, I meant it. But I didn't stop thinking about it after she left. The quiet in the house felt heavier than usual. Not peaceful. Not calm. Just empty. I tried to focus on work. Emails. Client reports. Market updates. But my mind kept drifting back to her. To the way she had avoided my eyes when she picked up her purse. To the way her phone had buzzed just as she walked out the door. An hour passed, then another. By 10:30, something inside me made a decision before I fully processed it. I picked up my keys. Not out of anger, not even out of suspicion, not entirely. Just a need to see for myself. Manhattan was a 45-minute drive without traffic. That night, it felt longer. Every red light gave me time to question what I was doing, to tell myself I was overreacting, to turn around. But I didn't. She had mentioned the name of the restaurant. A place in Soho. Upscale. Professional. Exactly where someone like Lauren would go for a legitimate networking dinner. When I arrived, I didn't rush in. I sat in the car for a moment, watching the entrance. People came and went. Couples. Colleagues. Groups laughing over drinks. Everything looked normal. Until I saw her. Lauren stepped out of the restaurant. But she wasn't alone. She was with a man I didn't recognize. Tall. Confident. Dressed like someone who belonged in the same room she did. They weren't just talking. They were comfortable. Too comfortable. Clothes in a way that didn't belong to business. He placed his hand lightly on her back as they walked. A gesture so casual it almost went unnoticed. Almost. But not to me. They didn't head towards separate cars. They walked together. Down the block. Laughing. Like this wasn't new. Like this was routine. I stayed in the car. My hand still on the steering wheel. Not moving. Not reacting. Just watching until they disappeared around the corner. Before we go further, I want you to think about this for a second. If you were in my position, would you have followed them right then? Or would you have done exactly what I did next? I didn't follow. I didn't confront her. I didn't call. I drove home. And I waited. Not because I was weak, but because I needed certainty. Suspicion can be explained away. Evidence cannot. When she walked through the door later that night, everything about her was controlled. Measured. Normal. How was your night? She asked. Productive, I said. And yours? She smiled. Great connections, she replied. I nodded. And that was the moment something inside me shifted. Not anger. Not even heartbreak. Just clarity. Over the next week, I paid attention in ways I hadn't before. Patterns emerged. The same nights. The same vague explanations. The same careful language. I didn't need to check her phone. I didn't need to invade her privacy. Her behavior was telling me everything. But I still needed one thing. The truth, in a form that couldn't be denied. So I made a decision. A calculated one. I told her I had a 2-day business trip in Chicago. She barely reacted. Just a quick nod. Safe travels, she said. No hositashchen. No questions. That told me more than anything else. I didn't go to Chicago. I booked a hotel in Manhattan instead. The same area she had been visiting. That first night, I saw them again. Different restaurant. Same dynamic. Same closeness. This time I followed. At a distance. Careful. Measured. They entered a hotel. Not one of the conference hotels. Not a business setting. A private one. They didn't check in separately. They walked in together. Like they had done it before. Many times. I stood across the street, watching the entrance. The city moved around me. Cars. Voices. Lights. But everything felt quiet. Distant. Like I was observing someone else's life. Not mine. And in a way I was. Because the life I thought I had was no longer real. The next morning, I was back home before she woke up. She came downstairs an hour later. Calm. Collected. Flight okay? She asked. Smooth, I said. And that was the moment I realized something else. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was about how easily she could lie. How naturally it came to her. How little hesitation there was. That evening, I asked her to sit down. We need to talk, I said. She looked at me, searching for context. For what? I held her gaze. I went to Manhattan, I said. Silence. Not shock. Not denial. Just a pause. Then she exhaled. And in that exhale, I understood everything. I was going to tell you, she said. Eventually. Of course. That word. Eventually. As if timing was the issue. As if honesty was something that could be scheduled. Before we continue, I want you to answer honestly. If someone says they were going to tell you, does that change anything for you? Or is the damage already done the moment the truth had to be discovered instead of given? I don't think you were, I replied. She looked down. For the first time, her composure cracked slightly. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she said. It didn't happen, I answered. You chose it. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself aggressively. And somehow, that made it worse. Because there was no fight left. Just quiet acknowledgement. I met him through work, she said. Of course she did. Linkage. Networking. Connections. All real. Just not in the way she had presented them. It started as conversations, she continued. Then dinners. And then... I asked. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence was enough. We sat there for a long moment. Two people in the same room. Living in completely different realities. I don't know what I want anymore, she said finally. And there it was. Not guilt. Not remorse. Uncertainty. About us. About him. About herself. I nodded slowly. Then you should take the time to figure that out, I said. She looked up surprised. No anger. No shouting. No dramatic confrontation. Just calm. Controlled. Final. I will, she said quietly. And she meant it. A week later, she moved out. No legal battles. No public scenes. Just a quiet separation. Clean on the surface. Complicated underneath. We handled it like professionals. Like the kind of people our world expected us to be. Months passed. And life adjusted. Not quickly. Not easily. But steadily. One evening, I saw her name pop up on my phone. A message. Simple. Can we talk? I stared at it for a moment. Not because I didn't know what it meant. But because I did. I called her. We met the next day. Same calm demeanor. Same composed exterior. But something was different. I made a mistake, she said. I thought I wanted something else. And now? I asked. She hesitated. Now I know I was wrong. I studied her for a moment. Not looking for lies. Not looking for excuses. Just observing. Understanding. I believe you, I said. Her expression softened slightly. Relief, maybe. Hope. But then I continued. That doesn't change anything. And that was the part she hadn't expected. Her face froze. Not dramatically. Just enough to show that her assumption had been wrong. I already adjusted my life to the truth. I said, not the version of it you came back with. She opened her mouth slightly, then closed it again. Because there wasn't an argument for that. There wasn't a way to reverse time. There wasn't a way to undo choices. We sat there in silence. Not hostile, not emotional, just final. "I hope you figure things out," I said. And I meant it, just not with me. I left the table first, not as an act of power, but as an act of closure. And for the first time in a long time, the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt honest.